And I'm worried that that American dream isn't going to exist for our two sons and their generation unless we all step up and do something about it. We're lost as a country right now. What I see as a Republican Party is a Republican Party that has grown lazy, actually. That's why I'm in this race. A Republican Party that's grown lazy, not just in the get out the vote operation sense of lazy, but lazy in defining what we actually stand for. The other side is good at this. They'll give you a vision. It's not the right vision, but it's race, gender, sexuality, climate. And what are we doing? We're just complaining about that without offering a vision of our own. What do we actually stand for? Individual, family, nation, God. That beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate if we have the courage to actually stand for something. That's what this race is about. What does it mean to be an American today? What does it mean to be a citizen of this nation? To me, it means we believe in the ideals of the American Revolution. Ideals like meritocracy and the pursuit of excellence, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. That is why I've said that we will end affirmative action and racial quota systems in every area of American life. It's been a cancer on our national soul, and we are done with it. It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why I've said that we will use our own military to secure our own southern border and our northern border too. That's what it means to stand for the rule of law in this country. It means that we, the people, create a government that is accountable to us, not the other way around. That the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government. Not the shadow government in the deep state that's actually running the show today. So you know what? If I can't be your next president for more than 8 years, which I think is a good thing, then neither should those federal bureaucrats reporting into me either. 8-year term limits for the bureaucracy instead of civil service protections. That's how you drain the swamp. 75% reduction in the number of federal bureaucrats by the end of my first term. That's what we're going to get done, half of that in the first month. Don't start with last year's budget as the baseline and try to massage it. Start with 0 as the baseline and ask what's actually necessary. Zero-based budgeting. That's how you tackle the national debt. This shouldn't be controversial. This is common sense. We need elections we can trust and that we can believe in. Single-day voting on election day as a national holiday with paper ballots and government-issued voter ID to match the voter file. And yes, you know what? English as the sole language that appears on a ballot. That's not too much to ask. These are not black ideas or white ideas. These aren't even really Democrat ideas or Republican ideas. Not really. These are American ideals that we fought a revolution to secure. And I believe deep in my heart that those ideals still exist. I'm running for president to revive them. E pluribus unum. It's on the back of our coins for a reason. It means from many, one. That's what we've lost in this country. In the name of celebrating our diversity and our differences, we've forgotten all of the ways we are really the same as Americans. Bound by that common set of ideals. And here's how we're going to get it back. It's going to be by all of us. Not just me. Every single one of us starting to speak the truth in the open again. Say in public what you'll otherwise say in private at the dinner table. Say it with a spine. Say it with conviction. Say it with respect. But part of respect is that you respect your neighbor enough to tell him what you actually think. That's what this campaign is about. Speaking the truth, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Speaking the truth, not just to the Democrats on the other side, but to our own side right here in the Republican Party. That's what this campaign is about. There's a reason why I'm the only candidate in this race who can say certain things. That the carbon dioxide capture pipeline, working its way through half this state, is unconstitutionally using eminent domain to seize the land of innocent farmers. That it's based on a climate change agenda that, I'll say it, that is a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate and everything to do with letting China catch up to the United States. That I'll pardon every peaceful protester from January 6th on my first day in office because that's the right thing to do, to stand for the rule of law in this country. That Ronna McDaniel, the failed chairwoman of the RNC, needs to resign after 5 failed years of leadership. Why am I the only person in this race who can say these things? I'll tell you why. It's because politics is a corrupt game. It is a dirty sport. I was a businessman before I ran for office this year. I'm new to being a politician, but I'll tell you, every politician dances to the tune of their biggest donor. And in my case, that biggest donor is me. I'm not dancing to somebody else's tune. I refuse to be somebody else's circus monkey, somebody's pawn on a chessboard. That's not how it works for me. I'd rather speak the truth and lose this election than to win by playing some political snakes and ladders. But I think that's going to be the winning strategy. That doesn't belong to me. That belongs to you, that decision. If you want somebody who's going to get in there and speak truth to power, vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. God is real. There are 2 genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Capitalism is still the best system known to man to lift us up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government in the United States, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution is the strongest and greatest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is the truth. We fight for the truth. We stand up for the truth. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China, is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about. And that is what we will revive to save this great country. Thank you for coming out today, guys. God bless you and your families. May God bless our United States of America. We will not stop until we get this job done. I want to open this up. Let's practice what we preach a little bit. I want to take a couple questions before we head out. Don't hold back. Give us the hard ones. We got one right here.
Yep. You made the comment of from day one of coming into the country, we follow laws. How do we support Governor Greg Abbott's decision to start making it a local law to arrest illegals coming in, and we're not giving him federal support?
Well, we have abandoned the rule of law as a federal government. I mean, why are people across this country not following the rule of law? It's because the federal government isn't following its own laws. So I've been to that southern border of Texas. Texas is trying to use aquatic barriers in the Rio Grande to stop people entering from their own state. The federal government's not letting them, not because those aquatic barriers don't work, but because they do. So I think to understand what's going on, if you think this is just incompetence, with due respect, you're missing the point. This is intentional. This has been part of the intentional project of much of the Democratic Party for the last decade, to say that they want mass migration to change the results of elections for years to come. It's supposed to be a conspiracy theory if you talk about it, but actually it's been the stated plan of the Democratic Party. But have a clear vision for how we actually solve that border crisis. I'm done complaining about it. I think as Republicans, we've been complaining about the problem for a long time. Now is our moment to actually, thank you for coming, sir. Now is our moment to actually start standing for solutions to that problem. Use our military, thank you. Use our military to secure our southern border. Use our military to secure our northern border. Actually complete both walls, not just the southern border wall, but the northern border wall too. Go further than that. Stop federal funding for any sanctuary city in this country. We shouldn't pay for breaking the rule of law. And then you know what we need to do is go further and end birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal migrants. It was never supposed to apply to them. Read the 14th Amendment carefully. It does not apply to them. We need a president who understands the law and the Constitution. If I'm going to swear an oath to the Constitution, I better darn well know what it actually says. That's the hard answer. We haven't had a president with a spine to stand up for that in a long time. Now, you didn't ask me the hard question. The hard question is, what are you going to do with all of the illegals who are already here? That's the hard question. So don't go easy on me. I'll tell you the answer to that question. Sometimes being a parent is what gives me my moral clarity. I can't be the father of 2 sons in the White House who tells my kids they have to follow the rules when the government that I'm leading is not following its own rules. So the right answer is anybody who's in this country illegally, we will return them to their country of origin, period. And people ask you how. Well, there's only 6,000 ICE agents. Here's the answer. You got to know the law. 287G, it's a section of the law that allows ICE agents to delegate their warrant power to local law enforcement. Now you have 1 million people on the front lines who can actually take care of this. That's how you solve this problem. It takes a president with a spine. It takes a president who's willing to break glass. I think it's going to take an outsider with fresh legs. And let's have some real talk. You guys have a decision to make in about 30 days. I'm an outsider. Trump brought some of that in 2016. I'll give him credit for that. But it's also going to take an outsider who knows and understands the law and the Constitution of this country. If you don't, they'll dupe you. They duped Trump. They told him you can't fire these civil service employees. Why? Because of civil service protections. Well, you know what? Read the law. Those protections only apply to individual employee firings. They do not apply to mass layoffs. Mass firings are absolutely what I am bringing to the DC bureaucracy. So that's what it's going to take to get this job done. And I think it's going to take somebody with fresh legs from the next generation. That's why I'm in this race. By March of 2025, we have the border crisis solved. By the end of 2025, we have mass deportations mostly underway, if not done. That's my answer to you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. Right here, sir. I'll give it to you. I don't know the microphone. If that's acting funny, I got it.
I was just wondering, with the kind of open checkbook that's been opened up for places like Ukraine and even maybe Israel, what's your position on our involvement around the world?
I got a position on this. I'll go back to my moral clarity as a parent. As a father of 2 sons, my moral duty is to my family. Nobody's going to shake me in that. As your next president, my sole moral duty is to the citizens of this country, not any other one. So I look at every conflict through what advances American interests. Ukraine does not advance our interests. We should not be sending $200 billion of our money to protect somebody else's border in Ukraine. We should be using our own money to protect our own borders in the United States of America. That's what I'll be doing as your next president. Avoid World War III, declare economic independence from communist China, and then use our own defense spending to defend our own homeland. Cyber defenses, super EMP defenses, basic border defenses, missile defenses that we're missing. If that can happen on October 7th in Israel, that could happen right here at home in the United States of America. So my message to Bibi in Israel would be, you know what? You have the absolute right to defend yourself. And we stand for your right to do so. What Hamas did was subhuman. You have the right to defend yourself. You smoke those terrorists on your southern border. You go ahead and do that. We're going to smoke the terrorists on our southern border. And that's how we're going to do things in the United States. But that's my moral duty as your president. That's how I'm going to lead this country. And that's not just good for America, it's good for the world. What hope does the rest of the world have if the shining city on a hill no longer shines? That's what it means. George Washington's vision for this country was to stand for the interests of our own citizens. I'm a George Washington, America First conservative. That's how I'm going to lead on the global stage with moral clarity that my duty belongs to you, not to any other country, but to this one. America First does not come with an asterisk on my watch. That's the answer to your question. Thank you. Right here. Oh, and then we'll go back there.
The welfare system hasn't worked for 88 years, and it's one of the biggest draws to illegal immigrants. So what is your response to that? Do you plan to abolish it?
Yes, is the easiest answer to that question. Lyndon Johnson's Great Society was the biggest misnomer in presidential history. A lot of that came through executive order. People miss this. Lyndon Johnson actually signed a lot into law, not actually by passing laws, but by the stroke of a pen. I'll give you one example, just a small one because I happen to know about this. Executive Order 11246, signed by Lyndon Johnson. It says that any federal contractor has to adopt toxic racial and gender quota systems. Well, that's not a law. It never passed through Congress. I'm taking a pen on day one. That's on my list of executive orders to negate. And the funny thing about this is, I mean, it's not funny, it's sad. These so-called welfare policies, they've added to our national debt. They're fundamentally unfair to the people who are working hard in this country, people who have jobs that are earning their income rather than just collecting it. But the worst part is they're not even good for the people they're supposed to help. They're paying single mothers more money not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house. You know what's happened? Black family formation has plummeted since the 1950s. Today, about 45% of black kids are born in a single-parent household. It's not just black kids. 25% of all kids in this country are now born into a single-parent household because you get what you pay for. The ultimate privilege that I had was growing up in a two-parent household with a focus on education and instilling in us a belief in God. I think it'd be a great thing for every kid in this country to enjoy that same, I'll use their word, privilege. Yes, that is a privilege I want every kid in this country to enjoy. So on my watch, and this is how we end up to the welfare state, but the welfare mentality, we will stop using our own money to pay people to do the exact opposite of what's best for them. More money not to go to work than to go to work. More money not to repay your student loans than to repay your student loans. No, that ends on my watch, and I think that's also a big part of how we fight our national debt. You have my word, we're going to see that through. Thank you. We'll go to the gentleman right there. Thank you.
Okay, we farmers around here become dependent on selling corn to ethanol plants the last 15 years. For those of us who make all of our money from farming,
Yep.
where you at on that? Because we're producing, the critics worry that we use fuel for, or corn for ethanol. Most people don't understand you don't even eat yellow corn. It's not human food.
Yeah.
So my question is, we're putting a third of every bushel back into the cattle rations that's ground for fuel. Where do you stand on the 10 or 15% ethanol?
I stand for the Renewable Fuel Standard, the RFS, which I assume you know what that is, sir. And the reason why is it's a pro-market justification. I hate fake politicians. Every 4 years for about 2 weeks, everyone will come here and tell you how much they love ethanol. My reason is, I love Iowa farmers, but my deeper reason is it is a pro-market justification. We don't have consumer choice at the pump today. You don't know why? Because of oil industry lobbying. So the true answer would be true consumer choice at the pump. We don't have that. Look at places where you do, though. In Wichita, for example, they have consumer choice. People choose on their own a higher ethanol fuel blend than the renewable fuel standard because it's cheaper and it's made in America. And those are legitimate reasons for people to choose it. So on my watch, that's why I favor the renewable fuel standard. It's a more credible basis because it's not just some political favor to Iowa. It's because it's the right thing to do. It's the next best solution to an actual market problem because we have an oil industry lobbying. That's where I land. I also stand for the property rights of farmers. I don't think ethanol producers should have to apologize for emitting carbon dioxide. Now they're capturing that carbon dioxide, building a pipeline across the state, seizing land using eminent domain. If you're a farmer, they can use that to seize eminent domain for your land. Well, you know what? Next thing is they get your cow because it emits methane. I'm not kidding. And leave a $50 check in your mailbox. By eminent domain. Take your combustion engine vehicle. Leave a $50 check in your garage. That's not America. And I come back to this. I am the only candidate in this race who has touched that issue. I'll tell you why. There's special interests in this country and frankly in this state that try to stop presidential candidates and local Republican candidates from talking about it. So I come back to this. If you want somebody, I'm not going to be, if I disagreed with you on that question, I would tell you that to your face too. You deserve to know. You may not agree with 100% of what I say, but if you agree with most of what I say, I'll promise you this. I will tell you what I believe 100% of the time. And that's more than we can expect of most of our politicians. For me, that's what my faith teaches me. Don't lie. Tell the truth. God puts us here for a purpose. We have a moral duty to realize that purpose. That's what my faith teaches me. That's what brings me to this journey. And so we're not going to betray that and, playing political snakes and ladders. I don't do that. We'll give the gentleman here the final word.
Which government agencies do you feel have been the biggest hindrance in shackling American prosperity?
Oh, so many government agencies to choose from. Which ones have been the biggest shackle on government prosperity? I think all of them. The rise of the administrative state collectively, it's a mentality. The Federal Reserve is high on the list. Artificially playing God from on high. Raining money from on high like manna from heaven. The money printing machine's just been on. It's like somebody needs to unplug the printer at the Federal Reserve. But I think part of the problem is when you have a bunch of people showing up to work who should have never had that job in the first place, they start finding things to do. The central bank digital currency. I don't know if those of you are familiar with that. That's because I don't need 23,000 employees at the U.S. Fed. We need to stabilize the dollar, peg it to commodities, gold, silver, nickel, agricultural and farm commodities. Peg the dollar to actual goods of value. That's how you fix a lot of the economic problems we face. I think the Department of Interior and the EPA have been disastrous for the production of energy in this country. And so one of the things I've said, if there's one thing I get done as your next president, we will shut down the shadow government. Shut down agencies that should not exist. Actually close and shutter 75% of that federal bureaucracy. That restores economic growth in this country. That actually revives our constitutional republic. So the people who we elect to run the government are once again those who actually run the government. And to tie those questions together from the other gentleman 2 seats in front of you who you asked. There's two things that it means to stand for America first. One is the people who we elect to run the government. And the second one is they owe a sole moral duty to the citizens of this nation. It's that simple. And if our president swears an oath to the Constitution and understands that, I think the rest of our problems, economic to foreign policy, become that much easier. That's why I'm in this race. If one of the existing class of politicians was going to get that done, they would have gotten it done already. They duped Trump. You got to understand the Constitution to swear an oath to it. Let's also have some real talk, guys. If you think they're going to let him get anywhere near the White House, look at what they're doing every week. It's disgusting. It's wrong. But you watch that. You think they're going to let him get anywhere near that White House again? Time to wake up, folks. The America First agenda, it's wrong what they're doing to him, but the America First agenda does not belong to one man. It doesn't belong to Donald Trump, and it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you, to us. to we the people in this country. And I'm in this race because I believe I am the person from the next generation who can reach the next generation and revive our national ideals, answer who we are, actually restore prosperity in this country. And if we do that, and I think this is our last chance to do this, if my kids are in high school before we get this right, I don't think we have a country left. I don't. But we don't have to be. And I think this is my last chance to come in here and tell you this. I can't tell you this in 2028. I don't think so. If the interest payments on our national debt become the largest line item in our federal budget, we're in quicksand. We're done. That's about 5 years from now, right now. That's where we are. So we are not working with a lot of time here. But if we get this right now, in this election, then I don't think we have to be that nation in decline. I don't think we have to be at the end of the ancient Roman Empire. I think the truth is, as a nation right now, we're really just a little young, actually. Going through our own version of adolescence. Figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up. And when you view it that way, it makes sense again, actually. You go through your adolescence, you go through that identity crisis. You lose your way a little bit. You do some stupid things. Most of us probably did. I did. But we are stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. So no, I don't think we have to be that nation in decline. I think the truth is we still can be a nation in our ascent. Maybe even the early stages of our ascent, actually. Maybe we're not even at base camp. On our way still to that shining city on a hill. That country where we will look our kids in the eye and mean it when we tell them that the United States of America is still the nation where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, or how long your last name is, in some of our cases, that you will get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication. And that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And with your help, and that's what we're asking you for, with your help, that is what we're going to revive to save this country. A guy like me isn't supposed to do this. The system isn't set up for it. 38-year-old outsider from the next generation. I think that's what it's going to take, but the system's designed to keep people like me out. But that decision doesn't belong to them. I don't report to them. I report to you, the people of this country. So if y'all do your part on January 15th, and that's what I'm asking you for, 15 minutes of your time to save this country. To spread this message to 100 people in this community who could not be here today. That's what I'm asking you for. Bring them to the Iowa caucus. Every one of your voices and votes at the Iowa caucus is the equivalent of 1 million people. If all do your part, I promise you, my wife Apurva and I and our family, we will do ours to make sure, not in some cheesy politician way, but in a true way, make sure that our country's best days are actually still ahead of us. Thank you for coming today, guys. God bless you and your families, and may God bless our United States of America. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you again, my man.
Good seeing you again.
Glad you're here, man. We're counting on you.
Thanks for standing up for Trump's constitutional
We stand for our constitutional rights. That's exactly right. Because what they're doing to him, they're going to do to somebody else. Have I asked you about maybe about 50 times to shut the music off when I come in? Is there a reason why that doesn't happen?
We were getting it off.
No, you weren't. Because our guys did it here. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to see you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. What's your name?
Ann.
Ann. Good question. I appreciate that, Ann. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey.
See you Thursday in Atlanta.
Oh, you are? Good. Good. I'm excited to be there, guys. Thank you. Thank you for coming, guys. I appreciate it. Is it time for us to go? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys. They're taking us to head off to our next stop.
Can I get a picture with you?
Let's get a quick one with the young man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, for coming. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
I admire you a lot.
Thank you.
I
I
really
appreciate
hope
that.
Emotionally, you can handle it.
Thank you. We'll do our part. You don't worry about me. We worry about our country. You do your part. I'm going to do mine. All right, guys? We got your back. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hey, guys. It's good to see you. It's good to see you guys. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Hope you guys could hear me in the back. I don't know if it was...
we heard you.
You can hear you? Okay, thank you. I love your headband for our country. Keep that spirit alive. The pizza looks great, too.
Thank you.
Come to that Iowa caucus. That's all I ask. It makes a difference for this country. It really does. Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you guys having us here. I love your sweater. Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you. Take care. Thanks a lot for having us. I appreciate it, guys. Merry Christmas.
Thanks for coming, Vivek.
Thank you, man. Merry Christmas, guys. Yes, I'll sign that. Absolutely. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Come out to that Iowa caucus.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.